computer. There we go. And then I will now see about going live. Hopefully this is going to work.
Yeah, let's just see what happens with this bit.
Amy and Joff, power of your mind. Choose where to post in share in your group. And right now I need to find my group. Not that one. I'm a member of so many groups, it is bonkers. And where is my group? Probably
Can you try and locate your group?
right at the bottom here somewhere. Where is it? Sorry, I'm still scrolling.
No, it's all good. It's okay. This is the bit that's bound to be the way.
I know, this is the bit
So what you now, obviously you're in Zoom and then you're linking this into Facebook now, I'm taking.
Yeah, I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
here we go, got it. The empowered mindset, overcoming health anxiety together. Right, you ready, Joff? It's midday.
Yeah, good to
Let's go for it. Let's see if it works. Preparing to live stream. I don't know what you can see, but
I've got that meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Let's go.
Okay, so can I see you? Yes. Now I am in. Okay. How are we doing? Does that look good?
We're good.
We're good. It's sort of frozen up at my end, but we're going to go with it. Let me just
I'm scared to open up Facebook just in case things crash.
I know.
So I don't know who is
Okay.
watching
All right,
what.
then we'll
So
just
I have
go
a
with
clue
it
about
because
numbers and stuff. So.
I can't see myself, but that's fine, and I can't see you either.
Oh, really?
But
Well, I've got you. You look great, mate.
Okay, good. Right. Okay, Joff. I'm assuming this is, but should I just check it's actually going live on Facebook?
It'd probably be a good idea. I think it is.
Yeah, because otherwise, okay. Yeah, we're on. Okay, right. Nice to see you, Joff. Thank you so much for joining me today. So just a little introduction to those who don't know you. Perhaps you could just introduce yourself and maybe talk about how you got to be doing what you're doing, which is totally amazing. As I've said before, I could listen to you for hours. So I know we've only got an hour today, but maybe just give a short introduction on sort of who you are and how you get to be here doing this amazing stuff.
Okay, thank you for starters. This is fun. Okay, so my name is Joff Talbot. I am self-proclaimed metaphysic coach. People think that's a thing. It's something I made up, but it very much kind of underpins what I do. Metaphysical being anything that's above the physical. So a metaphysic coach in my terms is then someone who works with the person, but not necessarily just the things that you can see, but the things you feel, intuit, work with, coincidences, synchronicities, and lots more. So I use lots of tools when I work with people one-to-one and group. So yes, that's the metaphysical side of things. And I'm also an energy healing practitioner. I have been working with the modality of quantum touch energy healing since 2018. Worked with, gosh, hundreds of people on all sorts of ailments. I now know a lot about a lot of people's stuff.
Amazing.
This, I know we'll get into a little bit of this, but it's sort of, it goes across the three worlds. So that's sort of mind, body, and soul. But not to coin like a bit of a cliche term, it actually does cover all of these because your healing is your healing. It's not what I think it should be or any healer should be. So that's yeah, so the energy side of thing and healing side of things is quite a fantastical world, and we can get into that in a bit. So yeah, and I put all this under the banner of LifeWise Wellbeing, and that's who I am. I can give you a bit of background on how that kind of comes to be.
So I know when we spoke before, you've said it's really hard to sort of pigeonhole yourself with a title, isn't it? Because what you do is so unique, and I think that's why I really gravitate towards your line of work, because I've never really come across somebody who can approach health from this different angle. And the thing is with health anxiety is a lot of us have have tried so many different things. We've come at it. It's been a long road to get to where we are. So when we're able to open our minds to other avenues, and that's why I really like what you do, is that you provide so much more of an insight into other ways, other perspectives that we can look at things. I guess that's why I particularly feel there's that sort of unique crossover between our line of work, if you like.
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate that. My ultimate sort of understanding is, and I've felt this since tiny, is that we are all way more than what we're kind of generally told we are. You might have some lovely parents and people to go, you can be anything you want, which is lovely, but that's certainly not our training as such. But there's always been the feel of, no, we're immense. I mean, look at like some of the characters and the sort of like ascended masters and other peoples who are, on planet now, who are just amazing. And they all say the same thing, like you are all this and more. And it's a case of, right, all what and more. So it's always been my kind of firm belief that we are amazing beings. But yeah, I'm with you. When it comes into the realms of sort of like health anxiety or any sort of like anxiety, in that respect, that it's just, it can be a bit of a stopper. And then
Yeah.
you're kind of guided towards traditional modalities that work for some, but not for others. And when it's a case of, well, it doesn't work for others, which is a lot of people, then it's a case of, well, what do I do? Am I
Absolutely.
now weird?
Yeah,
Where do I go? Stuff like that. And
yeah.
yeah. So this sort of
It's
thing, I'd love.
knowing that path, isn't it, and where to go.
Yeah.
Can you just for everybody that's watching, I wondered if you could just go back a bit and sort of talk about how you got, because this wasn't always your profession or your skill set. And I wonder
Mm.
whether you could just sort of shed some light on how you got to be doing what you're doing now.
Yeah, okay, cool. No, I appreciate that because yeah, it's a bit of a chalk and cheese thing. I don't have trauma in my life and things like this. I've had some crazy things happen, don't get me wrong, but where I've come, it's not born out of, that side of things. And a lot of people might go, oh yeah, but if you haven't gone through what I've gone through, then well, I can't go what through everyone's gone through. It's just not possible. But we all are sharing this ride together. So before I get into that side of things, I've been working in the youth industry for 20 years or so. And that was actually born out of, gosh, a world of kind of wanting to do what I wanted to do, traveling, bits and bobs, stuff like that, but didn't really know quite what I wanted to do. And I did put up a post ages ago, which you commented on, about a ridiculous car crash that I had, which then I was completely okay, but everything wasn't. Worse things should have happened, but nothing happened. I was
Yeah,
fine.
this
I
is the bit
drove
that
home.
fascinates me, Joff, and I think, having that life changing moment or that life defining moment is really interesting. So yeah, perhaps you could just go into a bit more about what happened that day and sort
Okay.
of not to too much degree. I don't want to hear
No, but I'll
anything
try and
gruesome.
sort of like speed it up. We could be here for ages. I've
No,
been
just
like, who
briefly,
doesn't like
Joff,
a
and then we'll
yarn?
move on.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, it was a crazy car crash where I kind of flipped a car and rolled it a ton of times and stuff like that. And it seemed that there was other support. All I can really explain it as, because really I should have at least had a graze, something. But I'm sitting there upside down in this car, having it just gone crazy. And the worst thing is, I wasn't even driving like a lunatic. Anyway, whatever. So I'm upstairs, I'm upside down in the car, thinking that seatbelts are quite amazing because my bum's still on the seat, and I look around, the car is just squashed, except for where I am, and I'm just like flipping heck. Like I'm already at that point, I'm thinking, well, if anyone was with me, blah blah, then it would have been not pretty. The car corrected itself, which was again bizarre because it was an incline, but not that much of an incline. So I was thinking, oh well, whatever. I mean, I look back now and I think, was there other things happening there? I don't know, ultimately. Who does? But weird things happen. That's my point.
Mm,
I got out of the car, and I'm completely okay, and I'm swearing and like, oh my gosh, picking up my boss's calling card, his business cards, because it was his car, that I had kindly just written off for him, and realized I could speak, I could walk, I could talk, and there was like nothing wrong with me, and I was exceptionally grateful in that moment, and all things came come crashing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh!" I looked like overhead, like far away, where I'd kind of gone through bushes and trees and stuff. And there's this guy just like standing there, and I'm like, "Can I borrow your phone?" So anyway, borrowed his phone, and then I drove back that afternoon. I drove a friend back, and everyone's really concerned for me and stuff. But in my mind's eye, in the physical bit, it just felt like a ride in Alton Towers. In the spiritual side of things, it was a case of what's going on, and so that
Yeah.
then helped really kind of bed in that it felt like I was needed for stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and this is a kind of a calling card for you to crack on, because things tend to happen on repeat. If you don't kind of get the message, which you know what it is, you will intuit it, and that's kind of where the work kind of comes in too. You can see some
Mm.
correlation there. Hence, followed 20 years of youth work. The latter three or so were like youth management, got a bit sort of like despondent there, less face-to-face stuff like that. And in all of that journey, had in 2013 a spiritual, I don't know the terms, I do know the terms, but I find them cliche and it's tough for me. Um, but a spiritual awakening, people seem to kind of go, oh, sort of, I think I get that. Everything changed overnight. And it was a case of what is happening to me. I had some beautiful information coming in, bad habits had stopped, turned off the TV, stopped watching stuff, stopped talking to certain people. It's just literally overnight, the most bizarrest
Amazing.
thing. I was thinking, what's happening to me? I followed what seemed to be happening and just soaked up a lot of all the good. And that's where the energy healing came in, because it was a case of, is that stuff rubbish? Or I'm curious now.
Yeah.
So I followed that up, um, saw someone do it right in front of me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a thing that actually works. Did the training, and um, the first person I worked with, actually, I'll just share this one little anecdote and then I'll pass back over because it's
That's
pretty
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
A lady on the first day of the first session, this lady came walking over with like a wobbly gait kind of thing. Something wrong with the hips, clearly. I'm just doing what I'm told to do. It's so funny. We're all sitting there in our little thing, breathing, doing her thing, hands either side of her pelvis, and she goes, "Oh, crikey!" And I'm like, "Okay, you're right." And she goes, "I don't think so." And after that session, yeah, 30 seconds, a minute maybe, the guy goes, "Okay, well, back to your seats and stuff," and she walked back like normal. I'm like, she
That's
sits down there and just
bonkers.
bursts into tears, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is madness." And then I was just kind of fully sold, obviously, at that point. And since
Yeah.
then, worked with people who are on their kind of deathbed as such. Seems a bit dark, but it's not to me. Animals, people, all sorts of things. Migraine, toothache, stuff, and more.
Absolutely
More.
amazing, Joff. It really
Thanks,
just
mate.
blows my mind. And, to be almost given that, that sort of sideline in a way, like, you're going along at what you think is a set path, and then all of a sudden life throws you this curveball, I guess, and you end up doing
Yeah.
this amazing thing that I struggle to define you. And I know you've given yourself this title that you've had to in a way make up, because it's difficult to sort of pigeonhole you into a box, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't do much for the business, I've got to say. It doesn't help.
It's hard, but I think the more you talk, and the more you
Sure.
educate people in terms of this, which is sort of why we're doing what we're doing today. But yeah, it's totally amazing,
Sure.
and I think there's so much potential and so many people that you can help and reach. So yeah, let's get talking.
Yeah, no, this is so juicy, and thank you so much for having us on. Love chatting with folk, and Amy, since meeting you, just this is lovely. You're a great
Oh,
person. So,
well, it's nice to have
and
you.
your story is amazing too. So I think
Yeah,
that might
so
be
so
useful
just
as
for
well. So do you
your
want to kind of flip it your way? So
Yeah, I was going to say, just for your viewers, I know you're wanting to post this on your
yeah, that'd be
community
cool.
as well. And by the way, I'm just talking about community. If you are watching this live, could you please let us know? It's very lonely here, so just put hashtag live, or if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. It'd be great to have your support. So yeah, a bit about me. So again, very similar to you. I came from a very different background to the job that I do now. I'm a marketeer by trade. I used to work in product marketing, brand marketing, for a number of years, and then I had two lovely children. And hello Lucy, nice to see you. In my late 30s, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had no family history of breast cancer. And I had no lump, and that was the thing that really got me, is that I just felt that this thing had come out of nowhere and tried to pull the rug from under my feet, and I literally didn't trust my body after that day when I was diagnosed. My treatment was very quick and very invasive, but very quick in relation to a lot of women who go through breast cancer. You know, it was sort of 6 months done and dusted, but it left me in a very dark place. And at that point, I didn't know I had health anxiety, but all I did know is that I just didn't know how to get out of that place. I felt very alone, very afraid, and fearful for what my body could do next. So in a very quick nutshell, because I know we want to press on, Joff, but I basically found a way through by using a lot of techniques and research and studying to come up with my own method to work myself through health anxiety. And I did come out the other end after about 5 years of really intensive studying, and that's when I decided to be a coach. And I met you on a coaching program. So we're both coaches, and we both met via a similar community. And yeah, it's been life affirming, and I absolutely love doing what I do now, and I wouldn't change it, and I wouldn't change my past. And I know that sounds a bit bonkers, but it was definitely, like you've been through it, it was my calling.
Yeah, well, you got like there's a warmth and a presence about you, Amy, which is there's no surprise that people kind of gravitate. It's very cool.
Oh, thank
And
you.
the stories we have. I guess it's really interesting as to, I think, don't mention this before when we were chatting ages ago about the stuff that, like, the manure that life kind of chucks you, or the things you have to kind of go through, and how you turn that poop into something useful to grow good stuff out of, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
essentially these layers upon layers of experience and da 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 da,
Absolutely. And I
to a
think a lot
degree.
of people, when they're stuck in this place right now, you know, when you're stuck in that world of health anxiety or whatever it is that you're going through, there seems to be no way out. And, you know, you're looking around, you're looking for answers, you're looking for help and advice, and it just seems to be day after day after day. But for anybody that's watching, you know, it's not forever. There's definitely a way through. There's a lot of perseverance and a lot of hard work, but it's certainly achievable. And, you know, that's what I tell all my clients is, you know, it's just the effort. And especially with anxiety, is you find that you have to give it as good as it gives you. You know, keep feeding into it, keep giving it all those positive things, those positive affirmations, which is where you come in. So I would love to investigate the power of the mind more with you, and that sort of connection between what you feed your mind and how your body reacts, because that's why I set up the empowered mindset, is to look further into that connection, because what we feed our mind often is how our bodies react and respond to that. So I'm going to hand over to you, Joff, and I'd love you just to maybe to pick up on one thing initially, and then we'll sort of see where we get to with this within that sort of time frame that we've got.
Okay, is that would we like to go into, like, actually no, I'll go sort of like generally, and then I'll go into some examples
However
of
you want
what
to
we've.
do it, I'm
Okay, all
just
right.
fascinated by you. So however you want to go, just
Okay, in that case, curb me, put a hand up, or stop me in some way, shape, or form, in some way. Give me a nod. Okay, power of the mind. Okay. Um, I think before we get kind of otherworldly and the things go a bit weird, and faith in things that we think are there but aren't us, I think it's vital that we learn as much about us as possible so we can help ourselves. This is really the grassroots of it all, in order for us to be able to help ourselves to the point where the other stuff starts to make sense.
yeah.
So for me, instead of just calling out, going, help me, the almighty universe, whatever you wish to kind of go, it's a case of, yeah, but that is you. You know, you're asking for your own help too. So this whole setup is a reflective universe as such. It's a great model. I like to use that a lot with people. So if you're able to use your external world as a bit of a reflection on yourself, things start to kind of fall into place. It might be a bit uncomfortable at first, but it starts to make sense
Yeah.
that, okay, so you're telling me the way I'm treating myself is how I then reciprocate from the outside world? And the answer is yes. So the beautiful thing there is you can take personalities away from all of this now. You can take things that feel so personal from people and go, oh right, you're a player in my life, and like a mirror of where I'm at. So you telling me that if I change, other stuff changes? And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
absolutely
so
amazing.
that's just a really basic, wonderful example of what then, that's not even the power of the mind at that point. That's being able to use your world as your tool.
It's what you feed
Um,
yourself, absolutely. I
yeah,
talk about this a lot, is self-talk and self-love and self-preservation, and it's so important because we tend to put ourselves last. We've got busy lives and families and a lot of people to please, and we come last. So what we feed ourselves tends to be the more of the negative stuff, more of the things that are an afterthought, and we're very good at putting ourselves down. But all of that can feed into that sort of end scenario, where we find ourselves with that negative thinking in a way.
yeah, agreed. And I think there's a simple sort of like analogy that if you're on a plane and all those masks drop down, the speak isn't put it on everybody else first and don't worry about yourself. It's a case of no, you sort yourself out, then you're able to help others. um,
Absolutely.
so when it comes to the power of the mind, you could, it does then ask the question. It begs to ask the question of like, well, how powerful like is the mind? Well, exceptional. The mind is, and you can change your reality, which says a lot about that plasticine way of what reality is, that we think we're in this one when actually, mate, it just takes a paradigm change, and a bit of work, like you said, and like what you've gone through is a thing that happened very quickly. It's sorted in 6 months. Okay, fine-ish. And then there's the whole journey of getting back to what we might consider normal, but there's no return. It's a case of,
No,
oh, right. So how am I gonna alchemize this stuff? I don't
absolutely.
go back to me, but you're telling me I can feel the goodness of everything and then utilize this for future? Yeah, definitely. And if that's the audience kind of then we're talking with or speaking with, then hopefully that carries some sort of gravitas there. Um, so for me, with the mind, you do as much as you can to play your part to support yourself. It just really helps to have some information. This is where I go, thanks, world, because it would be nice to have known a lot of beautiful information before. Um, which really does help us in the way of anything. Gosh, our own consciousness, collective consciousness, family consciousness, and like, what even is this? This isn't even discussed in our, mainstream education, but it's super useful. And this is what I've done with then the LifeWise program is go, oh my gosh, there are some fundamental things missing here. And so I've slotted that into the way I work with people and stuff like that. So does that
Absolutely.
help for kind of power of the mind and where it comes with me at the
Yeah,
moment? And
amazing.
then
And I know we've touched on that before in our sort of private
Mm,
conversations, is that the way that we think and the way that we are educated to a degree is very much standardized. We don't really come into anything like this. And if we do, it's sort of shunned upon, or it's gone, oh, that's a bit woo-woo, or where's the evidence to around that? But
yeah.
we don't need
He
evidence
puts
when
he
you're
puts
having.
crystals in his water,
Yeah.
weirdo.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when you're having the results that you have in your
Mhm.
practice, in how you're healing people, and through the work that, I mean, we don't need anything aside from that. The evidence is purely there, but we're conditioned to think a certain way and behave a certain way because of the way that we've evolved over time. So it's really
Perfect.
good to think outside that box and incorporate lots of
Yeah.
different stuff into our daily lives.
Yeah, indeed. And if anyone's out there at this point in time going, wow, that sounds great. If you want to have a conversation, then that's absolutely fine. That's not a sell, by the way. It's just really nice to touch base, and I could point you to other bits and bobs if that helps. Genuinely am someone who here is to help folk. It's a calling rather than a plug. All right. So that's just where
Absolutely.
that's at.
Yeah,
just really helps
absolutely.
folks.
And I think that's where we share that same mission, is that, you know, we both do a lot for free. We both genuinely want to help people. We genuinely want to get people to that better place. For me, it's health anxiety specifically, because I know how dark that is. But for you, it's a whole world of different angles that you can take, you know, what you can do and use that to help other people.
Yeah, if it helps, I call that the whole person approach. You know, you're not one side of things. You are, you know, that spiritual, you are a physical being. You know, these are different versions of reality that make up our whole self. I kind of wish I did, you know, specific on one thing, but you know, I think we all need to kind of carry our skill set and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Would you like us to kind of go into some of the work of then like Professor Emoto and such? Just
Yes.
because it's
Tell
like
me about Professor Emoto. I would love to hear more.
um okay, now this is a Japanese professor. Um and he's not with us sort of like now before we passed on, but either way, his body of work is amazing. And he one of his sort of like more famous things that he did was work with intention. And that was on both rice and water. So we'll go with the rice first, because that's where I first heard of this whole situation and thought, are you kidding me? Okay, okay, here's the experiment. You have 3 jars of rice. So 1, 2, 3 glass jars, lovely. Put some rice in there. And jar 1 was the I love you jar.
Mhm.
Glass 2 is the I hate you jar, all the negative, nasty stuff. And glass 3 is the ignored jar. And day after day, for a period of time, can't remember how long, but you'll get the idea, is that he would send loving intention to this first jar. I love you, you're the best, so grateful, food, amazing, fantastic, all the good stuff. Okay, so here we go. With the glass B, number 2, it's all negative. It's as you would expect. Now you can hear yourself doing that self-talk now,
Mhm.
probably. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, this, I am that. Be very careful with those 2 words. I am. What comes after that is your reality. Be very, very
Absolutely. Absolutely.
mindful of that.
Yeah.
Change it up if you don't mean it. Just don't say I am.
Don't say it.
You're a creator being. Okay, and this
Yeah.
highlights it. So with that jar number 2, you get the idea. It's not nice, it's negative and all that. And then glass C is that ignored. So he would just kind of, you know, not even pay attention to it. Wouldn't even go up to it. It's just ignored. Okay, and then what happened over a period of time is that the fermentation of the rice in glass A was just nice. It was sweeter smelling. It would go off. That's what it will do.
Mhm.
Glass B, the I don't, you know, I hate you glass and all the rest of it, is just it's rancid. And it's just markedly different.
Mhm.
And glass C is worse than glass B. So to ignore is certainly not human. We are connective beings. So to isolate yourself from the rest of it is worse than having negative attention. Negative attention isn't good, it's the opposite. So in this example, anyway, a few people heard about this. You got like young people in Germany doing like experiments with this, and it is brilliant that people are taking up this mantle. Okay, that's the first bit. The next bit is the
Crazy.
water. Same thing. I love you, not so much, and ignored. And this is with water. Now, what happened is he'd flash freeze the water. And what happened with glass A, the I love you glass, is that the structure was solid, like solid and really uniform. And the crystallization, when it crystallized, where there was beautiful hexagonal, and then they go into their branches. So really nice, very pretty, lovely. How you'd sort of expect it in your mind's eye. Glass B, that I hate you glass, was just disjointed. The water was more fragile, and the actual sort of crystallization was deformed. So it wouldn't be kind of uniform and symmetrical, and the rest of it, it would be deformed. And the third glass was just a mess. It was just it took ages to freeze in comparison to the other 2, and the kind of clarity of the ice formation was just basically non-existent because of that. So that's the example
That's
of,
completely bonkers, isn't it? It's just
yeah.
completely
Well,
crazy
to us,
to,
it's then a case of like we are those things. We
well, this is
are, the
it.
body is, you know, fluid based. There's a lot of things going on there. I appreciate
There's
that.
a
But
lot
take
of
the fluid
water in
out, we just
us.
erase them. So you get the idea of then what we do to ourselves, to others, and then yeah, cool. Just wanted to get that bit. What do you think?
Amazing. And that's just regular tap water. So they were just freezing like regular water out the tap. I guess it's not
Yeah,
special water from any particular place. It's just standard water.
yeah. Well, Vader Austin takes it a slightly different place. So just because we wanted to kind of go there as well, didn't we? So there's a young lady called Veda Austin. She's amazing.
I follow
And
her on
she,
Instagram now, actually. She's fascinating. Yeah, she's
yeah,
just,
very recommend her work. I call her the water whisperer. I told you this, didn't I? I interviewed, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
you've
I had a,
interviewed her. Did you say you've got another interview with her coming up as well?
yes, I do. Yeah, oh, thank you. Yeah, in July, I think this year. She's quite a busy girl now.
Yeah, she
Um,
is.
yeah, but yeah, maybe yeah. Anyways, I had an interview with her a couple of years back, just because thought she was fascinating, and had a radio show at that point, and yeah, and anyway, so yeah, I'll be having a chat with her again, on like the YouTube channel, what have you, in July. So that would be cool. So Veda Austin, it's not just a cool name; she's an awesome person. Yes, check her out, her Instagram and such. Now, the reason why I mentioned that is because you said about tap water, and yes, for Professor Emoto's work, he was working with predominantly just call that then like normal water in his like municipal water.
Mhm.
Then what Vader Austin did was take a lot of Professor Emoto's work, and she kind of like put intention into like picture yourself a little petri dish. A little petri dish. That's not a petri dish. That's a coaster. But you got a little petri dish. Fill it with a little bit of water, and you're sending intention to it. You could even leave it on, I don't know, a picture of something, which is what she does a lot of the time. We
Yeah.
talked about this, didn't we? She had a picture of like a dove or something like that. And the water will take this on. It's just barnacles. If
It's
this is your
mind
first
blowing,
time,
Joff. It really is. It just baffles me. I looked at her. I think she put something on Instagram where she had given a pregnant lady some water to drink, and then she'd frozen what was left of the water, and it formed a picture of a fetus in the frozen ice. I mean, how just how?
all right, that then does beg the question about, for me, then quality of water, intention to yourself and anything you make, which says a lot about why people do mudras, say prayers over food, this, that, and the other, as you're making it. This is a beautiful thing to do. Just even gratitude towards the thing you're doing, you will improve that food. You think it's madness, and it's not. It's very, very real. And there are measured examples and results of the benefits of this. And Veda Rossin just does it in such a great pictorial fashion kind of thing that just blows people's mind. And I'm so pleased for her doing the stuff she's doing. But
It's
that's us.
fascinating.
That's us. You
Yeah.
know, that's ultimately what's being highlighted here is that, hold on, you telling me that any sentient thing, even a water. You tell me not that water is. I call it God juice. This is actually why I knocked on her door because I'm like, it's not really
And
her I'm bothered by. It was the
easy
whole
night to have
fact
a
that
sip of
people play
water.
with water. Yeah, um, and so I call it God juice because no one can figure it out. It's such a interesting material that no one really can pin it down. That's why I go, good. There's no real need to. Just know that you need that situation. You breathe it, swim it, you are it. And let's say maybe it's a conduit of information or a holder of information, which then is it liquid crystal? Well, mate, if you freeze it down, very much so. Does that mean other crystals and other sentient life, because they're growing, um, have a important part to play in our experience? Yes, and then some. And so all these
Mhm.
things are free. You know, all this wonderful information, anything that I do that I talk with people about, all of it's free because it's all within you anyway. It's just
Yeah,
unlocking this stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, does that highlight a lot enough about, do you reckon, about like Veda and stuff that she does?
Yeah, I mean, certainly coming back to, health anxiety and how we speak to ourselves and what we feed ourselves. Not only what we feed ourselves and put in our mouths, but what we feed ourselves and put in our brain is so important. And yes, we all know how to have a healthy diet, exercise, food, drink, all the rest of it. We're very much told that, aren't we? It's how we're the world that we live in these days. We all know what's good and bad, but water is something that we just all take for granted. It's, very much overlooked. A lot of people flavor it up. I've put lemon in my water today, but, we take it very much for granted. Never do we ever question any ability with water and how it might affect, our overall well-being and what we can actually do with water. It's just, it's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
It is phenomenal. And when you're taking this from nature as well, you'll find that kind of like, say you're a river and you'll have like the water that's going whichever way it's going will create eddies and swirls and whirls and things like this. And that's the movement of water. It's not actually designed to be in right angle pipes just kind of crashing in. There's a big disrespect and a disregard to the water that is then comes through the taps. So
Yeah.
that's another conversation. If you're talking about power of the mind, which is really where we're at here, not necessarily kind of water quality, but we are talking about, if you're talking power of the mind over that stuff, what's useful is all right, in that case, Joff, are you telling me that it's potentially possible that I could send love to my tap water and alter its structure? And the answer is yes. Yes. I've
Amazing.
had people, this is it made me giggle about when I did the energy healing training, is that you could use this energy healing training on wine or alcohol and it would take the alcohol out. And I'm like, it's kind of pointless, really. It's not really. Just go for your decaf coffee and stuff like that. We'll crack on, do your thing. But the point being is that you can alter. There's nothing different between energy healing and the stuff we're talking about here. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
the
it's
fabric of
fascinating.
physics.
And so for anybody who's watching, Vida Austin, she's on Instagram. I assume she's does it other sort of social media avenues and
Yeah, she does. I think she's really pretty like live on, not live, but she's got a lot of content now on Instagram. It's very pictorial, right? So that
yeah.
makes sense. And also she's got a great book. I'm not here kind of plagging her, but her book's great. Again, just pictorial and real good. I forgot the name of it,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's
it'd be really.
Veda.
I'm fascinated to hear your interview with her, and I'd never
Yeah,
heard of her
absolutely.
till we got talking the other week, and yeah, it's just it completely baffles me, and we have that sort of, I guess, limit to our mind where we sort of tell ourselves, that can't possibly be true, and then we start to question reality, don't we? Because we've been designed to be a certain way, so when these things are brought to us, we're like, oh, hang on a minute, and we start to question the authenticity of it, or is it real? All of those sort of things come into our minds, don't they? But
You're hitting upon so many important things about, is it real, the traditional stuff that we're taught. It doesn't mean that traditional stuff is rubbish and doesn't work. That's not the point. The fact is, if it doesn't work for you, are there options? Yeah, loads, because we're talking about a reality shift. Okay, where you got all these different people from wonderful places having all these great examples. It's like, well, that's over there and it's not really here. I go to the doctors when I feel rough, and then I go to hospital. Da, da, da. Okay, well, if those aren't really your best options anymore, it's kind of really good to know that you have so much that you can do within you. Like, well, I'd say all of it, to
absolutely.
be honest.
And I
You
think
wouldn't see me
that's,
going to those places necessarily. But
yeah,
anyway, go on.
that's so important, and I think that is really the crux of all of this, of why
Yeah.
we're here today, is that you can go and do those traditional things till you're blue in the face, and everybody on this community here has done that, till we're at our wits end, till we literally don't know what else to do, and we feel like we've exhausted every avenue, so which is why it's really important to come back to this, to find that other way that we can find a way through, to find a path forwards, and that's why I love your work, and I just find it so intriguing and fascinating that there's just so much more untapped potential that we just we're barely scratching the surface of.
Well,
Um,
we are this right now. Those people who come before us say we are poor, and they are saying, no, you're way more than that. You know, for example, if you didn't have friends who dreamed, and you did dream what you told them, they would say you're mad. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. That's
Yeah.
just crazy. You tell me you flew, then suddenly you're, I don't know, playing skip rope with a hamster and all sorts of weird stuff. It's okay. No, you're just chatting rubbish. And it's a case of, well, it's not, but you can't convince. It's a case of people need to then kind of experience some of this, but please do not kick out this stuff thinking, ah, it's just rubbish. I did that for a long time.
Well, that's exactly it, you know. And years ago, I probably would have done the same. But there
Right?
comes a point in your life where there has to be more. There has to be more to this, you know. And whether that, well, even if you're not a spiritual person, you know, even if there's an element where you're like, oh, you know, whatever. But there has to be. You have to open up your mind to more, because there is more out there for us, and there are other ways through. So I've just had a comment on how do you spell her name, from Pauline. So that's
VEDA, Veda, as in Darth.
VEDA.
Yeah, VEDA, Austin, as in AUSTIN,
Yeah.
Austin.
Okay. I'll pop it in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Amazing, Joff. And yeah, it's just we could talk about that subject for hours. I think it's just
Shall I
incredible.
put my interview up with her actually? I'll put that in the chat afterwards,
Yeah.
like in
Yeah,
the
please.
comments and stuff, and just in
Please
case.
do.
I mean, there's enough stuff like now out there, but if it helps and stuff,
Yeah,
then it'll be good.
absolutely. And then do you want to move on to some energy healing? Because I think this is really
Yeah,
beneficial for everybody here. I think it'd be really interesting just to hear
okay.
how your take on it is, and what you're able to do with that.
Sure. Okay. And this is all in the realms of these. This isn't separate. The power of the mind. Mind you, this kind of alluded to that before, which is cool. Um, wow. Energy healing. Okay. Well, everything's energy. So it's quite hard to define that really, but it's a kind of all things. Really, so an energy healer, ultimately, you got to kind of ask the question, what is healing? And how does someone heal? Well, that could be actually anything. It could be a smile from a stranger walking down the street. It could be the right song at the right time that makes you feel amazing, and then suddenly the headache fades away. Well, that's lovely. It could be a hug from someone. It could be the beautiful words you tell yourself every morning. Do that.
Do that,
And
absolutely.
so all of this is healing. We're on a healing journey because, well, look at us. We kind of come here, we're mind wiped. You've got no flipping clue. We're nothing until we're about 25, 30. And even then we need each other. So we are examples of, well, caring and sharing, and that stuff really helps. So when it comes to the world of energy healing, what's happening there? Really a person, a conduit, because there's no way anyone who does healing can claim they're a healer. It's not the way it works. They're just a very good conduit for focusing energies to a person, a target. It doesn't have to be a person, it could be a dog, it could be a place. This is quite an interesting thing too, which is why not very nice places somehow also become beautiful places,
Mm.
i.e. Tibet and more. Anyway, whatever, I digress. Energy healing. Okay. In its sort of like basic, I thought, is this something which is kind of poppycock? Is it for the audience who go, I don't have no clue what you're talking about. Is it ridiculous? Is it made up? Is it for special people? Do you have to kind of, wave a wand and wear a cape and stuff like that? No, you don't. It's not for special people. Like I said before, everything we kind of do is healing. It's just a case of how then you term this. Energy healing, you're then focusing that to a person or a target or what have you. This is why I was intrigued by it. And after my kind of spiritual awakening moment, which is just balmy, oh gosh, maybe we should do that one another time. The weird stuff of life, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd
Um,
love to. I think, I'm sure after this we'll have a lot of comments from people wanting to do something like this again. So yeah, maybe we'll explore
That'd
that
be cool.
avenue next time. But yeah.
Yeah, they're the things that really kind of float my boat. Is kind of like the what that just happened, and that was a coincidence. Anyway, it's just gets weird, but that's good weird. I like playing with good weird. Anyway, so after this kind of this like awakening moment or whatever, kind of download, upload, whatever it is, um, uh, I was keen on finding out whether energy healing was a thing, genuine, not could I do it? Like, you know, that would be kind of cool. I'd had some interest before, but never followed anything up. Um, so um I was listening to a podcast on the like way to work, and there's this guy just came on, and he was saying that how no, you just hold your hands either side, you do some kind of some breathing patterns, nothing that's offensive to the person, and you're directing energy through the hands essentially, and that person will get better either very quickly or over a very small period of time. So I work with people from anything like 5 minutes. If you're feeling all right, you're all right. I'm gonna stay there. Up to about an hour. And then for others who are a bit more have a life of um, built up concern, and I'll probably get there in a bit actually. Emotional issues that have gone on for years, then it takes a bit more. That might be some sessions then, because there's a whole lot to unravel that can get
can
uncomfortable
you
before
sort
it
of
gets better.
by seeing that person, you can judge when, as soon as you're in contact with them, how many sessions or how long this might take to get to the desired
Yeah, it's a really
state?
good question. If someone has like just a blinding headache and a migraine and whatever it is, it's pretty obvious that that's something that's happening right now. Those things can go real quick. That's like 5 minutes. Which has happened a lot in my other workplaces and such. It's just people just feeling whatever. So anything that's kind of just happened now, that can be like burns and things like that, you know, things when you sort of just fall over and anyway, that stuff really helps, and that can happen real quickly. Anything, yeah, and yes, you can tell, but that's also intuitive as well, which you start to believe in yourself a whole lot more on journeys like this.
Yeah.
Until you go, oh my gosh, I should have done this a long time ago and acted on it, because it seems to me those the goosebumps and those good feeling things, they are all triggers for you to do the thing you're just thinking about.
Yeah.
And that's already a healing moment. So how you then follow up on that is really important. So yeah, if someone has like a blockage of energy that's been built up, that could be physical, emotional, often it's both kind of wrapped up into a pretty not very nice stories and such. And then that can become like negative energy will go to where your body is the weakest, essentially. So that could be shoulders, tension, jaw, feet. In the world of reflexology, you'll work on those feet, break up the energy, and it goes up your body. It's awful. Then you'll pee it all out after drinking lots of water, and you feel great.
That's really
So
interesting. I like that comment. That negative energy will go to where you are the
yeah.
weakest. Yeah,
Yes,
interesting.
absolutely. And that's why things can pop up out of the blue. They haven't popped up out of the blue. It's been built up of stuff you've gone through previously. So the way it, I would say it's not I coined this, I just go with it, which is you will have an emotional chapter which you're unable to kind of process for one reason or another. It's surprising, it's whatever. I don't know, I've got tons of stories. But then that will not being allowed to process and such, that will create this blockage, which will become dis-ease, so uncomfortable.
So
And then left alone still, your
dis-ease
body
and
will.
disease. Yeah.
They're two different things, right? So it's the same word, and that's where obviously disease came from, but we're talking about two different things, the one that leads into the other, right? So dis-ease, so uncomfort, but you don't know how and why. Well, you do know why, it's just hard to know how to do things about it, right? Because I went to the doctors, they just gave me pills. That's great for some, awful for others. It's like the worst news ever. Thanks.
Yeah.
And then you go back home and it's just worse, but you've got some pills. Like, what the heck? Anyway, not my bag.
I think that's where a lot of the you know, when you take the tablet that you have the faith in, don't you? It's almost like the placebo effect. That's the word I was looking for, where you know you have that faith in that tablet.
Awesome. Yeah, but that's great if that works. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with a placebo. In fact, that proves the point of power
that's
of the mind, right?
yeah,
Like, this people say about energy healing, yeah, but it's not like a placebo. I'm like, what does it matter what your belief is? Has it worked
absolutely.
or has it not? Is it me? Because I don't claim it. I don't claim energy healing, because I found out that when you do, the world doesn't deliver you people who you can help. That's what I found.
Okay.
Um, and then the more that's my own personal thing there.
Okay.
But is energy healing placebo or placebo? Well, if you think about the placebo, which is what we just said, if you could give someone a sugar pill and they get better, brilliant. Well done. You've just transformed your reality. They didn't do it. You did. You believed in the
You did it
process.
yourself.
And then
Absolutely.
you've got
Again, so
an
Power of the mind, isn't it? That just brings
There it
it
is.
back on itself. And
There, absolutely. And then you've got the flip side of this, which is where a lot of people come from, which is a nocebo, where the opposite happens, right?
yeah,
Where you're telling yourself certain things, this, that, and the other, and it's not very pretty. Well, then you become those things.
yeah,
And you recognize it, but you're still in the cul-de-sac of what do I do?
yeah,
Well, life will deliver you if you're open and you go, what the heck? Like something help on a long enough timeline, and usually pretty short if you really mean business, you will get the little nuggets of hope, love, joy, stuff that you need. Don't think that's the end, because you got to put pen to paper at that point. You got to
yeah.
do something about it. And that will be my encouragement for anyone of the audience who's having a tough time in those realms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you have these beautiful nuggets of life. You know, our day is 80%, if not more, good, and we tend to hang on to the like the rubbish bit. It's
We
like, oh, dude,
focus, it's where our
like
attention goes.
I
And
must be
especially when,
perfect.
yeah, and I think when when you're facing that physical pain, because as we know, health anxiety can manifest as a physical pain. And when you have that physical pain and you wake up every morning and it's there, then that's where your attention goes. And that's why a
Yes.
lot of my work is trying to divert that attention to other things. So yeah, you're completely right. It's yeah.
How do you do that, Amy? When you say divert it to other things, what kind of things?
A
How
lot
can
of
you give us an
distraction.
example?
Yeah, a lot of distraction, a lot of changing the way that we think. So I get my clients to cross out. So they'll actually write down that negative thought, whatever it might be, and then they will physically cross it out, because we
Nice.
know that our thoughts are exactly that. They are just a thought. And then they will replace it with something that is equally as feasible as the thought that they were telling themselves. So it's just a shift. It's a shift, but it's a constant shift, and it's
Yeah,
something
it's
that you
not
have to.
just a shift though, is it? What you're proving there and evidencing is that if you have this situation and you're able to write it down, not text it or what have you, you're using the energy of yourself and this intent. You're putting pen to paper,
Yeah,
literally in this case, and
yeah,
then you're doing whatever after that. You might burn it, get rid of it, whatever it is.
yeah,
You're releasing that, which says an awful lot
absolutely,
about who do you think you are? And I can
absolutely.
guarantee you think I don't know, there's a lot more on offer, is what the point is here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and when you see it, I think so there's so much going on in our heads. There's so much going round and round and round. But when we physically go, okay, what was that negative thing? What was that thing what was that thought that really upset me? Okay, I'll write it down. When you physically write it down, put pen to paper, and then cross through it and then come up with that alternative, that's where the magic happens, because you're saying to yourself, hang on a minute, like there was no need to think that negative thought. What was the reality of that? Actually, this can be equally my reality. This can be equally what is true to me.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what a vision board is from back in the day, isn't it? I mean, they
Yeah.
still have their place. I mean, back in the day, it's just a quite a thing that's been around for a long time as a tool. But yeah, very similar to that in that respect.
So
But
just back onto
yeah,
back, I feel like we've diversed from your
yeah, from the energy
energy.
healing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Just sort of going back really just to how that you can help people with that, I guess, and
Yeah.
some examples of what you've achieved with energy healing.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Where's good? Okay, so I said like the first example, I want to work with someone. Okay, after that, there's of after the training as such and things like that. Um, and ultimately knowing that it's yourself as the conduit, you're not claiming it. For this modality, there's there's nothing external about it. It's all an energy that's flowing through. Hands either side. If I'm working with someone in person, but I work with plenty of people remotely, so I've got clients all over the world who like now gives a call and go, right, this ailment, like, how does this work? And can
Okay.
you support this?
So you can do
Um,
this remotely. You don't have to see somebody physically,
no,
person to
no,
person.
no,
Okay.
no, which says a lot about, again, now you can understand a little bit of this information, then of why I package this up into kind of like life-wise well-being or metaphysical coaching. Because it's a case of, yeah, this stuff needs to be unpicked and then retold to us in order for us to even have a glimpse of how good and powerful we are.
Okay.
Powerful, way more radiant. Yeah. Okay, so so having gone through kind of the training motions, which I just liked anyway, and seeing some very early successes, it would seem to me it's a bit like kind of football, for example. Anyone can kick a ball, that's fine, but to become a player in the, I don't know, Premiership or what have you got to love it. You got to be good at it. And you kind of got to go for the whole package and kind of go for it. Then you're going to be someone who kind of stands out and off you pop, and it's pretty natural. But anyone can kick a ball. So that's the same with the healing. Anyone can heal. I've said this like previously.
Okay.
What is healing? But when it comes to someone who does energy healing, they're able to utilize this energy and focus this back to a person. And what really floated my boat was the remote healing bit, because it was like, are you kidding me? Like, how? How does that even happen? Well, if
Yeah,
you think of prayer, it's similar, it's different, it's similar because you're
that's true.
calling on an external that you think's external. And for me, that's a bit of a mistake because it there's nothing external, there's nothing not spiritual. It just depends on how what your journey is with this and your upbringing and and
Hmm.
whatever means something to you. But for me, there's no discontinuation. It's a case of no, you all are. It's just that it's worth playing with this, what we call energy or what have you. Um, but then that's the power of spells and spelling the word we just said before, the things
Yeah,
that you write down, they're super powerful things.
yeah.
So your own affirmations, the words you tell yourself, Vader Austin's work, Professor Emoto's work, and others before. So everything carries a vibration and a tone. Um, so when it comes to energy healing, by the time I had worked on a couple of people during those practice sessions and such, it was just good gravy. I had to get X amount of hours of kind of feedback and clients before you can become a practitioner, which is
Hmm.
just right. I went a very slow way about it. I did about 90 hours, but when you're healing someone in about 5 minutes to a bit, that takes a long time, a lot of
Yeah,
people. So
that's a long time to build that one up.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the ailments there. It's insane, but like kind of like wrist. I was working on my dad, for example. I'll give you a few examples because they're nice.
Yeah, I
Um,
think hearing those, I know you gave me one the other day, but yeah, go for your dad's. I'd
Yeah,
like to hear this
I
story.
should probably do a slightly shorter version of that one. So yeah, I was working on my dad, for example, many moons ago, and he had like a hurt shoulder from falling off a bike or something along those lines, and it'd been bugging him for years, but whatever. So I was like, "Oh, can I work on you?" And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, it's worth a shot." And he's not at all in these realms. He's sort of like London bloke. So anyway, I'm working on him. I don't know, about 10 minutes, just because nothing really is coming from him, sort of thing. So it's hard to gauge. It's a bit like doing a Facebook Live. And yeah, and then after like 10 minutes, he's like, "Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely." And it hasn't come back. Another one was plantar fasciitis on a friend who could barely walk. I don't know. She's just on her back now. It's really hurt her feet. Just stopping her from working. Again, then she became health anxious and the rest of it. She couldn't kind of go to work, therefore bills, this, that, and the other. Couldn't get the kids lunch stuff. So I said, "Oh, can I work with you?" She's like, "Yeah." I picked her up from her house. She came over. I kind of used to do massage, so I had like on the massage bed. This is not essential. It's just what I did at the time. Worked on her feet for about 45 minutes. And then when she got up, yeah, this is so cool. When she got up, she kind of like sat down, she put her feet on the floor. She was like, "Well, it's not 100%." She's kind of like moving her feet, but she's like, and she just got up and just walked around.
That is
Wow.
crazy.
She
That is
goes,
crazy.
"Wow, like it's about 90%. This is great." And then that's it. I never saw her again. Well, I did see her again, but like we went to work and it was so cool. And there's tons of these. Yeah, migraines and stuff of people just popping up out of nowhere. That's kind of really cool because that's like debilitating and
Yeah.
instant, and that's nice. So actually
Is
people
there
are
is there
interested, but
like a reoccurring theme? Do you tend to see people on with a certain
no,
problem, or no, it
no,
can be really
because I've had
diverse?
peoples with end of life situations. Yeah, there's two I'll explain. that I think are important. Yeah, the end of life situation was there was a friend's mum who was, yeah, she hadn't eaten much, like in about, I don't know, a long time, months and months and months. And hadn't spoken for that time as well. So they had like hospital bed in the house, stuff like this. Anyway, so she called on me and said, Joff, can you some like just can you help? And I said, why can't you do it? Like we did the training together. She goes, I just want you to help. Can you help? So I was like, yeah, cool. So I drove down to London and anyway, worked on like the mum. And then the mum, I didn't know this actually. She didn't really tell me the story. And she was like, and I'm like, okay, no worries. It's happy to help. It's all good, you know. And you know, took like some payment recompense and then off you go, energy exchange, right? And she said, like, for the next 2 months, her mum passed away after 2 months, and she goes, those 2 months were brilliant. She was not walking and talking, but she was talking and she was eating and she was way more
Incredible.
comfortable. And
That's incredible.
that's very special. And another one is a friend, won't kind of go into just for time. And oh my God,
Yeah,
it's quite close, but yeah,
yeah.
that's very close.
I think just having that,
Animals and
being able to do that, you know, having that impact on that person, and you know, and in that situation where it's end of life, you not only, you know, made her end of life so much nicer, but everybody else around her was able to benefit from that, and that's
that's
such a special thing.
multiple world melting stuff as far as I'm concerned, because
Yeah.
I don't have the words that I can
Yeah,
convey
I don't,
from
there aren't
somebody
words,
else's.
that there aren't words for what you do and the impact that what you do. Yeah, I think we need another dictionary for Joff.
Don't
Um,
help, is it? But no, look. Again, it's not stuff that's made up. This is my ultimate point. All anything that I do is like, can anyone do this stuff? And yeah, yes, it is. And this is my whole point with what I do with LifeWise is we just there's so much more to us that we are not our pain, we are not our mindset. All that stuff can change.
this is a
Like,
really good way of bringing it back to where we started. I think it's a really nice place to end, is that
sure, I think so. Yeah, it is.
absolutely you are 100% right. We can bring it back to that
Yeah,
present.
yeah, we can.
And we can we ultimately have the choice here. You know, we have the choice when we wake up in the morning. We can carry on that path, or we can choose to look at other options, and we can choose to
Mhm.
to take a separate path. And that ultimately is in our hands. You know, that comes down to us. Nobody else can make that decision for us.
Agreed, but let's go with the kind of the beautiful stuff. There's those moments where you go, maybe like run with it, because that's you a kid again, and that's the good stuff. If you run on that, you'll find that stuff starts to go the way you want. You're not pushing it, you're
Okay.
just, but you are doing something about it, which is where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. Just have it childlike and play with your world. Just know that could it be? Like heck yeah. You've had it tons of times
Exactly.
before. Why not you?
Because
Right?
as a child, we don't have these, you know, there's nothing set in stone, is there? We're very open to the world. You know, we don't really know, you know, reality as it is. We haven't been fed that to a
Hmm.
degree. So
Hmm.
we're very open to, there's a much thinner line, isn't there, between what our imagination and what the reality is. Whereas as
Totally.
we
Did
get
you know that we
older,
used to be known as the image nation? That's where the word comes from. Pictures
um,
where we kind of form stuff. Oh, then we could be again ages, can we? But that's us, the image nation. So that imagination is like vital. Like
yeah.
that's a big part of it. But
Yeah,
yeah, for hence of being here a while.
absolutely.
But
Yeah, so 100%, and
agreed.
you can create that. You know, you can be that child and look at things from that different perspective, look at it from that different angle, and really take that on board and run with it. And you know, who's to say what can happen when you do employ these things?
Well, wonderful stuff can.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's incredible what you do. If people want to get hold of you, Joff, where can they find you, and how can they
Um,
contact you?
Okay, thank you. Website is good. So that's www.lifewisewellbeing.com, all one word. Lifewise, Life, wise, uh,
Life
uh,
wise.
well-being.
Yeah.
Lifewise
Okay.
wellbeing.
Life wise.
And on the social medias and such. So lifewise underscore wellbeing on Insta, Joff Talbot life-wise well-being on Facebook.
And
They're
you're in
probably
this
two
group,
best.
you're in
Like,
this community as well. So
yeah,
just
I'm in this community as well. So yeah, if
you're
there's
one
anyone
of
who just wants
my,
to,
yeah,
yeah, just chuck a. I think the joining the dots, I think, is really important. So I wouldn't want someone to kind of like look at this and go, yeah, but then that's money. But these are all, they are blockages. And I don't mean this as the sell. It's really important to know that people's are threads, and I won't charge for a conversation to see if something
yeah,
fits someone. And like I said
yeah,
before, with like any information that I can kind of deliver and such. So that's kind of yeah, me in that respect. I've got like Telegram groups and stuff like that, but we'll do that like maybe another time.
yeah,
If people are keen, then just drop me a message by those other avenues, and then we can go that way, because I don't know what people's interest is.
yeah.
So, and how about yourself, please, Amy, for
Yeah, I mean, likewise,
likewise audience?
yeah, I do a lot of free information giving, and I try and do as much in this community as I can, based around my clients. But yeah, I'm there to help. I think fundamentally I'm there to help. I do have a coaching program. I'm also training to be a therapist this year, so I'm studying as well. There's a lot going on.
In
But
what?
fundamentally, I just generally want to help, because I know what it's like. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yes. I think that's the thing we're talking about, right? It's that resonance with someone who's gone through what journey, and can they
Yeah,
support
yeah,
me and
because you
help
feel
me?
it, you feel the pain, and you just take yourself back there, and and
Yeah.
that's why, there's there is help out there for health anxiety, but until you've sort of been through these life-changing experiences, and been through that journey, it's a lot of people, I think, find it hard to resonate, to really get it. And when you get
Hmm.
it like we do, it becomes more of a passion and an inbuilt, an inbuilt thing that you really just have to help people to get
Sure. And
through.
fair play for creating like the programs and such forth as well. On the website, what kind of similar, like, so I've got some courses and like free webinars, and I'll be putting
Yeah,
like some like
yeah. So I do
resources and stuff up there
yeah,
soon. So
that's
worth
it.
having
Yeah.
a little look if people are keen. And
Yeah, that's it.
but
Have a look, see what, yeah, it's likewise. And obviously that's where we met as coaches, is to do that together. And
indeed.
we trained as coaches together, and that's how we crossed paths. And I'm so pleased we did. Um, so it's been great chatting, Joff. Honestly, it's been such a like I
And
said earlier, I could talk to you all day. I find you so interesting, and just it's baffling, all of these things. It's just bonkers what's out there and what's possible for us.
well, there's so much as well that's kind of like, no,
I know,
no,
I
no.
know you're like, I can't go down that road because I haven't got another 5 hours to talk about
Yeah, right.
that.
Yeah.
So
But this has been wonderful. Thank you.
thank you so
Very
much. Thank you so
it's
much.
great to be a part of like yeah, this network, and yeah, to spend a little bit more time on these subject matters,
Yeah,
because it's not
yeah,
just like a post and stuff like that, it's
yeah,
it is connection, and being able to
absolutely.
explain a bit of a
And I think
more.
that's why Facebook community, and it's a Facebook group, right? This, but I always call
Mhm.
it a community, because we are a community, and we have that one thing in common. So
Mhm.
I call this a community of people, and I like that community feel, and that's what I want us all to be in it together, right? So coming together, and providing this information, it is vital, just to help us. At the end of the day, you take what you want from this. You can take elements of this, you can take nothing at all, or you can fully invest, and that's up to you. That's down to your personal choice. But thank you so much.
Thank you, mate. This has been really cool, very just yeah, fun and informative. So yeah, thanks for having us, and maybe
We'll
we'll
do
do it
it
again another
again. We'll do it
time.
again sometime. Thank you so much. Take care, Joff.
Thanks, Amy. Have a
Okay,
good one.
cheers then.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.